What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity here. I hope you guys are doing well. As the Modern Warfare 2 life cycle is coming to an end, I think it's important for us to review the last year and reflect on it. And I've talked about many things all year long, but I think somebody on Reddit perfectly summarized all of my thoughts, and I decided to make a video condensing all of those thoughts here today. The list that I will be using is one that Charlie Intel found on Twitter from the user NilesBassi24, and I think it perfectly summarizes many of our thoughts when it comes to Modern Warfare 2 and many of the issues that we faced. So let's get started with this list. Starting off with the lack of classic minimap and map voting. Yeah, this was a huge gripe for the entire community all year long, especially when that border crossing map was basically the map that you played every time you booted up MW2 and nobody wanted to play it. Yes, there was a rework, but for whatever reason, Infinity Ward never put in a classic map voting system, and they never brought back the classic minimap, which we now have in Modern Warfare 3. There was no footstep dampening perk, and the nerfing the dead silence field upgrade with an audible activation queue was unnecessary. I think there's a reason why there was a massive push from the community to get a footstep dampening perk into Modern Warfare 3, and we have it. And I don't know why Infinity Ward was so headstrong and stubborn when it came to dead silence in Modern Warfare 2. It never made sense, still doesn't make sense to this day. And the fact that they had an audible queue for the activation was so weird to me, and that was never fixed either. Continuing with the footsteps, enemy footstep audio being too loud, leading to players not really wanting to move around maps in fear of being sound hoard and pre-aimed. Now, I'll be the first to say that I think this is another issue in Modern Warfare 3. This is actually being an issue in a lot of the new engine Call of Duty games. And I don't know why they have this fascination with having extremely loud enemy footsteps. Make it the way it used to be in older Call of Duty games, and more players will run around the map, and the game modes will be way more fun because of it. I don't like it, and I do not know why they're leaning towards this increased enemy footstep, which just what it does is it rewards slower playstyles. It rewards people who camp instead of move around, and I don't like that. I felt that way in the Modern Warfare 3 beta. I felt that way in MW2, felt that way in Vanguard, MW 2019. Weird that I never felt that way in Black Ops Cold War, maybe because they had traditional footsteps in that game, and they had a audio dampening perk for footsteps as well. But moving on, past footsteps. Squad spawns that flip too easily and ruin any sense of map control. I used to love the older Call of Duty games because you could really get map control. You could understand where players were going to be coming from, where they're going to be spawning. That was something I also noticed in MW3, where I felt as if the spawns were a little jacked up. And I'm really hoping they fix that as well going into the full launch of that game. But this was a major issue in MW2. You never know where anyone's coming from. You never have any sense of map control or map knowledge because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where people are going to spawn, and it was a real issue. And that was also never addressed and never fixed. Shocking, everything on this list really should have been fixed and addressed during the life cycle of Modern Warfare 2, because they were mentioned several times throughout the entirety of the game's lifespan, and nothing was done about it. Especially the next point here. Perks being timed, score-based, creating a snowballing effect, since the first team who earns a UAV gains a massive advantage as players won't have Ghost. The perk system in Modern Warfare 2 was an awful experiment and should have never gone out of the brainstorming stage. It should never have reached the live game. I don't know who came up with it, but sorry, your innovation was not to the betterment of the game. It actually made the game far worse and just not very fun. And yeah, it gave a huge advantage to whoever earned a UAV first, and I don't think that's how Call of Duty should be. Also, perk packages being limited to 5 custom slots and not being able to edit individual perks in-game. I mean, this was asked for so many times throughout the entirety of the life cycle that I lost count how many times I saw it on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube videos, and they just never addressed it. It just showcased how lazy Infinity Ward was and how little they cared about this game and this franchise this past year. And it's just really disappointing. But speaking of laziness, overall just laziness from IW with fixing prevalent problems like the UAV bug and constant packet bursts. The lack of weapon variety, the M13C, the MP5 SD, full auto Desert Eagle could have just been attachments instead of wasting new weapon slots. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I did talk about that when new guns came out and how they felt lazy. And the funny thing is some of you said, no, they're brand new. And I don't know why you're trying to simp so hard for Activision and for Infinity Ward. They sucked with this game and they deserve a lot of criticism because they were very, very lazy. And I just don't really know if they had a full-on grasp of what makes a Call of Duty game good. They certainly don't understand that from an attachment standpoint, which is the next point we'll touch on here. Gunsmith attachment penalties are too severe and make certain attachments not worth using due to the downsides, as well as a lack of advanced stats. Having to use sites like sym.gg and TGD to see how attachments are affecting my gun shouldn't be necessary. I've talked about this before and gotten a lot of blowback on it. But making attachments cause a mathematical equation to be needed is absolutely asinine and is stupid and ruins the simplicity of a video game. I'm sorry, you shouldn't have to go to a third-party site just to see if your weapon is viable or not. That's why for the majority of Modern Warfare 2, I just ran no attachments on my guns, because it was such a detriment to run attachments for the majority of this game that I just didn't see a point. Unless I saw like a class set up by a pro, then I may try that out. But other than that, it just wasn't worth my time to try to sift through all the data to figure out what was good and what wasn't. At least with X-Defiant, you have a firing range to figure out what works and what doesn't, but not with Call of Duty. That would take too much time and effort, shockingly enough. Tuning is unnecessary and adds another layer of complexity to weapon stats that isn't needed. Now, originally I actually liked weapon tuning until it completely broke, and yeah, I don't really think it was incredibly necessary, but once again, Call of Duty loves to overcomplicate things for no reason whatsoever. They take simple ideas and overcomplicate them because they don't have a way to actually innovate their game anymore, and they feel that this is the only way to innovate Call of Duty. I feel as if this guy just ripped all of my thoughts out of my brain and threw them into a Reddit post, because this honestly perfectly summarizes the way I feel. The last 2 points are very simple. The lack of viability when firing weapons. Insane visual recoil and muzzle smoke. Yeah, I'm sorry. So many times I lost where I was trying to shoot because of the insane amount of muzzle smoke or the insane amount of recoil that I have with my gun that I've never seen before in Call of Duty. And I don't know if that was to add to the realism, but I'm sorry, you lose that argument with realism when you inject animals and all the other nonsense into Modern Warfare 2. It doesn't feel as real, so why have all these real aspects of shooting a weapon? Just kind of seemed unnecessary and a little stupid. And the last point here we have to touch on is, of course, the movement issues. Whether it's aiming down sights, jumping while aiming down sights, no bunny hopping, which I think that bunny hopping is a little stupid, but that's my personal opinion. There's slowdown penalties after being hit with explosives and tear gas. There's slow ADS and strafe speeds. And it took them 4 seasons to make sliding even somewhat useful. And of course, the ledge hanging mechanic is super annoying. Now, with this last point, I want to point out that, yeah, I'm against bunny hopping. I think it's a little silly. But ADS jump shots, those should not be something that you're penalized for. It is a skill tactic. You should be rewarded with knowing how to do it and being good at it. I don't know if I agree with slowdown penalties after being hit with explosives or tear gas. I think that's a little silly as well. And of course, the ADS movement and strafe speeds in this game were so infuriating, and I do not know why they doubled down on it at every single turn that they could. It made the game so much slower and so much worse because of it. And of course, you guys have heard me complain about it before, but the ledge hanging mechanic in Modern Warfare 2 is simply so dumb, and it's carried its way over into Modern Warfare 3. So where does this leave us? This leaves us at the end of the Modern Warfare 2 life cycle, a game that, in my opinion, suffered majorly from a development team that refused to listen to their community, a development team that decided to choose laziness over persistence and over quality. And that was what was so disappointing here. There were so many easy fixes they could have made to make the game better. Even if they just knocked off a few of these things from this list, maybe it was perks, maybe it was footsteps, maybe it was movement penalties. I don't really care. But a few of these would have enhanced the game dramatically. And that's what leaves me so disappointed with the entirety of the life cycle of Modern Warfare 2, was the gameplay was never improved upon from launch. And that really sucks. Now, of course, some of these things have been changed and adjusted in Modern Warfare 3. However, some of them remain, and some of them will remain to be issues as we move toward Modern Warfare 3. I am very concerned about the laziness when it comes to weapon variety. I'm very concerned when it comes to the movement penalties with perks. I'm very concerned about the spawn system in Modern Warfare 3. And I'm sorry, they need to be proactive when it comes to these issues. They need to ensure that they are adjusting them and making the necessary changes to ensure that their game is the best that it can be. But those are my thoughts when it comes to Modern Warfare 2. And honestly, I have to give kudos to whoever wrote this Reddit post. To NilesBassi, thank you for perfectly summarizing many of these community's thoughts when it came to Modern Warfare 2. And honestly, I'm really hoping that we get a better year for Modern Warfare 3. So here's in hopes that we don't have another long list of disappointing features in Modern Warfare 3. But here's hoping. So let me know your thoughts down below in that comment section. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.